Are you stressed about the future? Worried that you might not be on the right path? What is it that you should do? Should you go to school and get you a safe job that pays the bills? Or follow your extravagant dreams? What would make a purposeful life for you? These are the questions that define young adults in their 20s and some even in their 30s and 40s, and are the root cause for a lot of suffering and emotional pain. In this discussion, we're going to talk about the different paths you could take, their pros, their cons, and hopefully help you further along in making a solid decision that fits you as an individual, while also offering you a different perspective on life that will help you relax in your pursuit of truth and inner fulfillment. I will be using job titles as a placeholder example. However, keep in mind that your purpose doesn't need to be tied to money. Having a regular job while doing creative work on the side, such as managing a blog or writing fan fiction, is just as valid as someone who wants to be a big shot billionaire. So keep that in mind while we go further into this topic. In the meantime, I'm going to be working on this short comic that I will reveal in its full glory at the end of the video, which might further help solidify a more relaxed mindset while you're embarking on your journey. So stick around until the end. Dealing with your anxiety. Now, before we begin talking about the range of options that stand before you, let's first address your anxiety, your stress, your fear. That debilitating feeling that keeps you up at night, that makes you feel like a failure, that rushes you to make a decision while simultaneously making you feel guilty for not being where you think you ought to be. Trust me, I know that feeling all too well, as I've dealt with it in the past and have conquered it numerous times. In fact, you'd be surprised to find out how common your experience is. This is a realization that helped me tremendously in reducing that anxious feeling in the past. Again, that realization being that you are not alone. Really, I encourage you to go out and talk to the people in your life. Talk to your friends, your family, talk to random strangers, and you will quickly come to the same conclusion. Even people that seem to have it all together could be dealing with those same doubts and insecurities because they are not satisfied with where they are in life, as well as the decisions and sacrifices that they've made to get there, despite the fact that they're doing really, really well by your estimation. So, if such a large part of the population is dealing with those same questions, those same issues, then are you really that far behind in life? No. You're right where you're supposed to be. In fact, you should feel relief and gratitude that you didn't rush into anything, that you didn't invest time and energy into a path that is not for you, only to find out years later that you made a mistake. And if you did unfortunately choose the wrong path, be thankful that you found out about it now and that you won't waste any more time and energy in a direction that brings you no fulfillment. Be grateful that you tried something that wasn't for you in the end, instead of wondering what if. Another realization I want you to have is that ultimately your life is yours to create. I repeat, your life is yours to create. It's not society's, it's not your mom's, it's not your dad's, friends, or siblings. Your life is yours to create. So that means you have to move at your own pace, make your own decisions, and work on becoming detached from needing other people's approval to validate you and your life. No one has the answers. No one is perfect. And one's value isn't defined by how much money they make, how much social status they have, and how desirable they are by other people. Realize that your value is inherent, it's intrinsic, it just is. The mere fact that you're existing and having a human experience full of potential to share love and appreciation to others makes you valuable. This might not make much sense to you right now, but if you start meditating, journaling daily, and making a conscious effort to be the most loving person that you can be, you will realize that what I'm speaking is the truth to you right now. Lastly, I want you to view your life as a video game where everything is possible and you're just looking for the right type of adventure for you. When you're playing a video game, you never assume that the game is unbeatable, and you never doubt your ability to complete it. In fact, you have absolute trust in the design of the game, as well as in your ability to progress through it with enough quality of effort and time. I want you to extend that same level of trust to your life. I want you to trust that the world is designed in such a way that with the right quality of effort and time, you can build an amazing life that makes you happy. And in case you want any proof, then just look around you. Anything you could ever possibly want has been achieved by someone at some point, despite the impossible odds that they might have faced in their lives. That goes for artists, musicians, athletes, entertainers, but also people who are part of a loving community or who have a healthy mind and body. So, why would you assume that you couldn't do it? Use these people as inspiration. Use them as proof. If they can do it, then so can you. Many people throughout history that achieved many great things have had to experience exactly what you are currently experiencing. And not only did they figure it out, but so will you. Now, before you make a decision for what it is that you want to do with your life, we first have to define what it is that you value. If you're someone that values socializing, for example, and being around people a lot, perhaps you don't want to choose a path that typically involves working in isolation, such as an illustrator or video editor. However, if you're someone that values creativity, then perhaps working as a data analyst might not be the best direction for you either. Thus, before making a decision, we need to clarify exactly what it is that you value and will make you happy in life. So I want you to sit down in front of an empty sheet of paper and write down a list of about 10 things that you value in your life and bring you a sense of fulfillment. That could be teaching, exercise, leadership, play, learning, consistency, money, safety, self-reliance, variety, direct sales, influence, working within a team, etc. I must emphasize that this is the most important step in the process, and you should take as much time as you might need to self-reflect and repeatedly challenge whatever you deem to be important to you in life, so that the list is as accurate and concise as possible, and thus ensure that you don't end up going down the wrong path and wasting your time. Now that you have your list, I want you to rank the items by importance. And again, make sure that you take your time to ensure that the ranking is true to your heart, because this list will have the biggest influence on your final decision. Once you have your list ranked in order of importance, I want you to take away the last 5 items in your list. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world. So no matter which path you take, you will have to make some sacrifice. But fortunately, those sacrifices will lead you down a path that gratifies your top 5 values, which will consequently bring you the most fulfillment anyway. So now you have your top 5 values. At least I hope you do. Again, do not be an observer. If you're simply watching this video without taking action, you're doing yourself a big disservice. This is the way out of your current condition. So if you don't have a list yet, I really advise you to pause this video and catch up with the steps that I outlined so far. Alright, so now you have your top 5 values. So we have to sit down and brainstorm possible paths that could fulfill these 5 values. So for the sake of example, let's say my current values are creativity, being autonomous, teaching, isolation, and learning. By isolation, I mean like introversion, having my own space. Therefore, I could go down a path of being a comic book artist, a writer, video editor, or getting into motion graphics. Now, notice how not all of my values are being met, but as long as 4 of them are, then I will consider them. Take the time to brainstorm and write down all these different paths you could take, and when you're ready, which could be in a few minutes, hours, or even days, then come back to this video and watch the final step in the process. Now it's time for us to make a decision. Take a piece of paper and draw a straight line on it. On one end of the line, write the word comfort. That stands for a safe option that is very easily achievable. On the other end of the line, write dream, which stands for a path that is harder to achieve and will require time investment and effort. Using this line as a spectrum, I want you to place all the paths you brainstormed earlier based on your values and rank them from the most comfortable option to the most long-term dream one. Here's what it would look like with the paths that I brainstormed earlier. Since motion graphics is the easiest to get a job with, I'm placing it the closest to comfort, which is then followed by video editor and lastly comic book artist, which I would consider to be more of a long-term dream, since you first have to have a complete comic book and then go through a publishing process before getting a return on your investment. And finally, we're in the final step in the process. But before we get into it, if you actually followed along with the steps outlined in this video, then congratulations. You've taken the first couple of steps towards escaping your current predicament. You've identified your values, ranked them by importance, used those values to come up with several directions that fulfill your innermost desires, ranked those from most comfortable and safe to the most long-term dream, and now you must make a decision. Yes, the final decision is ultimately yours to make. I wish I could give you one more step that will introduce, a different angle that you could use to reduce the options to the exact right one for you, but unfortunately, I cannot make the final decision for you. You have to decide whether you're going to take a path that is most comfortable and guarantees a living, or if you're going to pursue a higher path that might require more patience from you. Or, if your list allows it, maybe you could pursue everything. You're not relegated to one path. Referencing my list from earlier, I could easily pursue a career as a motion graphics designer or a video editor and pursue comics on the side. And so can you, based on what you've transcribed, of course. So sit down with your current list and take your time, think it through, make a decision, and come up with a plan. No matter what it is that you choose, remember that ultimately you own your life. No one gets to dictate to you what is right and what is wrong. You don't have to pursue something that will make you a lot of money or that is respectable by society standards. Do not fall into the narrative brainwashing that dictates when you get to be happy. You don't need to reach X amount of money in your bank account or X amount of status or recognition in order to be happy. Happiness comes from fully being engaged in the process towards a goal that you value and favor. That's it. You could be a janitor and be happy, a taxi driver, a construction worker. As long as you are fully engaged with a process that you enjoy, then you will find happiness. And remember, life is a video game. So have fun, take some risks, do something adventurous from time to time, and don't take everything so seriously. This is the message that I want to leave you with. And this is the message that inspired the comic that I've been producing this entire video. I present it to you now.